And finally here, William from Calgary has a buy or sell on the best wrestler-manager combo of these three pairings. Undertaker and Paul Bearer, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, or Okada and Gedo in New Japan. This was a short list. I mean, you can make a list of a whole lot more than that. And I would say the most iconic, the most money-drawing combo, at least in WWE, has to be Randy Savage and Elizabeth. I mean, Randy Savage, he probably has a pretty good career for himself and is successful even without her. But maybe not. Maybe not as successful. Maybe not as big of a star. You know, I know Elizabeth, she wasn't overly physical the way that like a Sherry Martel was and some other managers. But it cannot be understated how important a role that she played in his career. And absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. But since they're not on the list, for me, I have to buy on Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Yeah, it's close with Undertaker and Paul Bearer being in there. But I have to buy on Heyman and Lesnar. Heyman and Lesnar are just so perfect as a combo. Absolutely perfect. Paul Bearer was the perfect character to kind of bring the Undertaker down to the ring, and he holds up the urn and he does the zombie sit up, and you know, Paul Bearer did a lot of promos for the Undertaker. Undertaker would talk too, but Paul Bearer would do a lot of the talking for him. And they were together for 6 years. They were together for 6 years. Even longer than that if you go back pre-WWE. I'm pretty sure that Paul Bearer managed him even before any of them were in the company. At least for a period of time. But 6 years in WWE before Paul Bearer turned on him and went with Mankind. And it's one of the great manager-wrestler combos of all time. But Lesnar and Heyman, it's like peanut butter and jelly, man. You know, I just, whenever Heyman was out of the picture, it wasn't the same. Lesnar just was not the same. And that goes for his first run, too. And a lot more so with his second run. Lesnar will speak every now and then. Heyman basically does all of the talking for him. He sells this guy. He sells the matches. He sells the pay-per-views. There's nobody like Paul Heyman in that role. Now, that's different than saying that Paul Heyman is the number one greatest manager of all time. I have him at number 2, behind Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan is number 1. Bobby Heenan managed a lot more people. He was a lot more, I feel, influential on their careers. And some of those combinations, whether it was Heenan and Andre, Heenan and Mr. Perfect is another great one. But Heenan managed a lot of different guys to a lot of success. And he took these big bumps, which is something Heyman, he used to do, but not like Bobby. I mean, Bobby used to be a wrestler. Bobby would bounce all over the place. He would get his ass kicked constantly until he just physically couldn't do it anymore. But in terms of a wrestler-manager combo, I don't think you can find me one better in that company, at least, than Lesnar and Heyman. And I'll expand it out to other companies, too, because Okada and Gedo were good together, and they were together for many years. But I don't know. I just don't look at them as in that elite, upper echelon. They were very good. And it was a big deal when he turned on Okada last year. But Lesnar and Heyman, to me, are just the quintessential wrestler-manager combo. Far more important, I really think, to Brock's career than even Paul Bearer was to The Undertaker. So if you want to measure the two of them, that, to me, is what gives him the slight edge. And it's why I hope they never break them up. You never know how many more years Lesnar's going to be around for. But as long as he's going to be around, he needs Paul Heyman with him. We've already seen them split once, and it made for a one-night cool swerve, and then reality sort of set in, and it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have broken these two up. To do it again, I think, would be a huge mistake. They're just at a point now where they should never be separated. They should always be together, and Heyman should be the one inducting him one day into the Hall of Fame.